This is a game that so many people are divided about. Some people like it, others really despise it, like Angry Joe. Screw Attack called it the worst Sonic game ever. Yes, even worse than 06 and Rise of Lyric. And Watch Mojo ranked it number 4 on their worst Sonic games list. I swear, thanks to all of that, many people just blindly hate this game without even playing it. But I'll show them all. I'll especially show Angry Joe for putting me through one of the worst game reviews I've ever seen in my entire life. Yes, almost as bad as, but not worse, than Very Invalid's review of Mega Man 9. I am going to review Sonic Freeriders. This has been my 4th year on YouTube, and I've already gone through quite a lot, including an infamous commentary on Angry Joe's review of Sonic Freeriders that scored me so much spite. But I was only 14 at the time. I didn't know exactly what I was doing. Now that 4 years have passed, I've become a lot wiser, so I'm going to use that knowledge I've gained to do some counteractive work against Joe's review. Now keep in mind, I don't hate Joe, and I actually enjoy his reviews. It's just his Sonic Freeriders review I hate. Anyways, let's go ahead and discuss the game series a little bit first. Sonic Freeriders is the 3rd game in the Sonic Riders trilogy. The trilogy has been around since 2006. It's basically Sonic and Company on hoverboards. This game here decides to spice things up by using the Kinect rather than a standard controller. You would stand like you're on an actual hoverboard, and it would control like you were on an actual hoverboard. Now it sounds simple, but it's actually a lot harder than it looks. Well, there is at least a tutorial you can go through at the beginning. Oh, and one last thing, I cannot stress this enough. Go through the tutorial. Otherwise, you'll end up like Angry Joe, who, at least from what I saw, tried to jump into the game instantly. You can't do that with something like this because of the learning curve. It's like someone trying to instantly jump on Hopogara on Initial D arcade stage when they're just starting out playing the game. They will fail. Also, on a side note, I'd recommend doing the Kinect tuner as well, since it can help boost the control success rate. That's also something I feel Angry Joe should have done. He probably would have actually liked the game by doing these things. But that's just what I think. Anyways, back to the game. Sonic Freeriders has several modes of play like any other racing game, including the standard free race, time attack, story mode, and of course, online play. The story mode involves numerous characters racing in a second World Grand Prix hosted by Dr. Eggman, who disguises himself as King Doc. He pits 4 teams against each other. Team Heroes, comprised of Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. Team Babylon, or the Babylon Rogues, whatever you want to call them, composed of Jet, Wave, and Storm. Team Rose, composed of Amy, Cream, and Vector. Although, for the record, I think they should have had SBO instead of Vector, and then that way they can use the acronym ACE. And Team Dark, composed of Shadow, Rouge, and E. Those are too many zeros after that one. I refuse to read them B. Story mode has you go through missions playing as the various teams. You complete them all until you unlock the final story, which I won't spoil. By the way, these cutscenes look like crap. It looks like they were all made in Sony Vegas Pro 8, as in the very first version of Sony Vegas. Free Race is self-explanatory. Time Attack is where you try to get the best time. Oh, and there's a couple of offline multiplayer modes as well. You have Relay Race, where, after a lap is completed, the next racer races, and Tag Battle, where you work with another person to win, and you can even hold hands. No, I'm not making that up. So unless you're playing with a girl you really like, you might just want to stay away from Tag Race altogether. The gameplay is very simple. Race on a hoverboard over a circuit track for several laps. Graphically, the game looks good. The textures and models look fine, and the backgrounds are all good, and it's pleasant to look at. And the tracks are very fun to race on. There are 16 courses in-game, however half of those are just expert versions of other courses, but they do have varied design to make them stand out from their standard counterparts. The controls work fine once you get it down and do the Kinect tuner. I compared the learning curve of this to something like Initial D Arcade Stage or Wangan Midnight Maximum Tune. Takes a lot of practice and patience, but once you get it down, you're set. The game's sound is alright. The music is fine, and having lyrics is a nice touch. But the English voice acting, on the other hand, dear God, it sucks. This was the first game to feature the Studiopolis voice actors that replaced the 4Kids voice actors. I could forgive that, but the problem is the performances are downright terrible. I'm gonna say it, I don't think Roger Craig Smith is a good voice for Sonic. I mean, he's done good performances in other games, but the voice is just too cocky and way too older. Sonic is supposed to be 15 years old, not 21. And apparently we're supposed to accept the fact that Mobian's never aged, but whatever, that's another story. The voice just doesn't work. Shadow's voice is too evil, and Amy's voice...
Wow, Sonic's here too? What a coincidence!
Oh my.
Yeah... I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but never have I missed the 4Kids voice actors more than ever. The other performances are just meh. There's really nothing else to say, so let's move on. Like I said earlier, the game has online play. However, it's hard to find anyone considering the game got mixed reviews when it came out. It's a shame because the online mode actually works very good. No lag or anything of that sort of nature, and you can use Kinect as a microphone. However, I wouldn't advise doing this because of how much Kinect can pick up in the background. It's best to just use a wireless mic. Okay, that's enough talk about the actual game itself. Let's go on to the counteractive work. Probably the biggest detractor of the game that people like Angry Joe call out are the controls. Now, I'll fully admit, the controls are not perfect. Even with the Kinect tuner, there's still some minor detection problems and stuff. But like I said, they're only minor and few and far between. You can still place decently in the race, unless you're seriously out of shape, which may have been Joe's case. Though probably the worst offender of the controls is the menu. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass trying to select what you want since it has a 50% chance of rotating the other way. Though you can use voice commands to navigate the menu. Just don't be like Angry Joe and complain about them sucking when he was being a lazy bastard by not memorizing the commands. Seriously, it will take you less than a minute to memorize all the commands, or at least the essential ones that you'll need. Just make sure you use the Kinect tuner for the microphone to make it work well. Also, apparently it made Joe sick, because as he puts it,
the game's terrible graphics and sense of speed combined with a massive amount of designed dead ends where you slam right into a little redirector pad before hitting the wall makes this game hazardous to your health. I swear you will feel nauseous.
So apparently, you'll feel sick from the speed by Joe's logic when running into a boost pad and it changes your direction. Seriously? So I'm guessing by his logic, Ballistix could easily beat this game out for being the worst racing game of all time by sense of speed alone and how sick it can make you. I just can't believe it made him that nauseous, which I find very hard to believe. From what I could find, he would have been about 26 years old at the time this game came out, in what looks like fairly decent shape, and he couldn't keep up with this? I would have been about 13 years old when this game came out, and I'm probably in good shape as well, and I could keep up with this. Hell, Christopher Reeves of all people could keep up with this. And that's really it for what I can do in terms of counteractive work. I've said my piece about Joe's review, countered what I needed to, and yeah, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Bottom line, this game is not the broken mess Angry Joe claims it is to be. Is it a perfect game? No, but few if far games are. It has a nice variety of game modes to keep you coming back, the graphics and soundtrack are good, and when the controls work, they really work. However, the English voice acting is not good, and not being able to change it very easily sucks. I mean seriously, you have to change your system language to Japanese in order to change the voice acting. I don't get it. Why couldn't they just program a simple UI option? Was it really that fucking hard? Also, the cutscenes are not very good. The story itself is kind of forgettable. Then again, this is a Sonic racing game. And this last thing here is a minor complaint, but this has been a problem that's persistent from the very first Sonic writers. Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Shadow never wear the goggles or lash glasses or whatever you want to call them over their damn eyes when racing. I don't get that. The Babylon Rogues do, so why doesn't Team Sonic and Shadow wear them? It makes no sense. Okay, now that I got off my chest, let's go to the final score. Overall, despite its shortcomings, Sonic FreeRiders is still a fun racing game with plenty to keep you coming back. Because of this, I'm giving Sonic FreeRiders a 4 out of 5. This game might not be perfect, but in terms of racing games, I've seen far worse.